All right, let's get into it. Welcome everyone again to our emergency call to protect wolves. I'm going to pass it to my co-host, Quentin, to kick us off.
Great. Thank you, Valerie, and welcome to everybody on the call tonight. We're really excited to have you on, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us. My name is Quentin, and I'm the organizing director at Ignite Change. For those of you who are not familiar, Ignite Change is the Center for Biological Diversity's grassroots activist network. And we are dedicated to defending our wildlife and wildlands. And as you know, those wildlife and wildlands are under attack from the Trump administration. And that's why we're here tonight. Thankfully, we believe in a world where we can actually stand up for our wildlife, our wildlands, clean air, water, and really protect the planet's rich biodiversity. As part of our Call of the Wild campaign, and that is what we're here tonight to talk about in this emergency webinar, to save America's wolves. And we are working tonight with our close partners on this campaign and allies, Howling for Wolves and the Endangered Species Coalition. And as I mentioned, tonight is unfortunately an emergency webinar in response to Trump's announcement yesterday that they will be stripping Endangered Species Act protections from wolves coast to coast. So across the country, this is, they had the announcement, and soon coming down the line, they will make it official. And this will be the single worst blow against wolf recovery in more than 40 years in the country. But that's why we're here tonight. We wouldn't be having this call if we didn't think we can stop it, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Thankfully, we are not starting from ground zero. We did know this was coming. For those of you who have been involved in the campaign to date, which we launched back in January, we've been building and organizing for this moment and for the moments to come. And so now it's actually time for us to enact and step up our game and get involved to say, no, we are going to protect wolves in America, and this iconic species is going to be protected. So before we get too much into the details, I will turn it back to Valerie, who's going to walk everybody through a couple of tips and guidelines for how this call is going to go and how to participate on the technology side here on the Zoom call. Valerie?
All right, great. Welcome again, everyone. I'm Valerie. I'm the Deputy Organizing Director with Ignite Change, and I'm really glad to be here tonight with all of you. Well, I'm not glad to be here in terms of the announcement, but I am really buoyed by the response. And we have 350 people on the call here right now. So just that really lifts my spirits. So we have a lot of new people involved. So I just want to say welcome if you've never been involved with us before, and also welcome back to the folks that have been working shoulder to shoulder for the last couple months on this issue and getting ready for this moment, because we knew this was coming. This is what we've been gearing up for and preparing, and now it's time to step up our game. In terms of the tech, so first of all, we are live streaming this webinar on Facebook. So hello, everyone watching from Facebook Live. Be sure to like and share this stream with your friends right now to let them know that this is happening. And we are also recording this call so that we can share it on YouTube later with people who couldn't make it. So a couple notes for folks who are on Zoom. Again, there are over 350 people on this call. The chat box, most people have found it already, but if you hover at the bottom of your screen, a number of icons should pop up. One of them is a chat icon. Make sure to chat, who you are, where you're calling in from, and one reason why you are ready to stand up and fight for wolves. And feel free, if you're in Facebook, to also use the chat for that. So next on Zoom, there's also a Q&A box you will see at the bottom of your screen. And that's the place that if you have questions as we go along, please post your questions there, as opposed to the chat where there's going to be a lot going on with so many of us on the call. So it's easy for stuff to get lost there. So please post your questions in the Q&A box. If you're on Facebook, we will do our best to catch some of the questions coming in the feed. All right, the next thing I just wanted to share before we get started is our guidelines, so our Ignite Change community guidelines. And these are just basic kind of in the spaces we're in. We do our best to adhere to these principles, so being friendly, inclusive, and respectful in all our communications with fellow Ignite Change and Center supporters. So that includes in the chat tonight. Please use these guidelines and just going the extra mile to help people get the information and support they need to take action, following through on our commitments to take action, and flagging, this is kind of for later, but any press requests or issues that come up along the way so that we can help deal with that and keep our community together really thriving and supportive, because that's what we need in the face of the obstacles that we face. All right, and there's a fuller version that we'll share if you take more action with us, which we hope you do. So with that, I will pass it to a couple of my esteemed colleagues and co-hosts, Colette and Brett. And Brett, can you start off with a few words about who you are, what you do at the center, and why you're inspired to fight for wolves right now?
Sure, thanks Valerie. My name is Brett Hartle. I'm the Government Affairs Director at the center, and I split my time between DC and Arizona, where the center is based. I've been working on wolves for a long time, mostly navigating the political side. Wolves have been under attack from Congress for many years, and we've been successfully fighting off efforts to weaken protections. And I'll just say on a personal note, I love wolves. I've seen them in Alaska and in Yellowstone and even in the Himalayas in Asia, and they're really an amazing symbol of the wild. So pretty excited that you guys are all on the call and looking forward to working with everyone to save wolves.
Hi, and I'm Colette Adkins. I'm the Carnivore Conservation Director at the center. I'm in the Endangered Species Program. I live in Minnesota. I grew up here, and we've been lucky enough our wolves were never exterminated, and we've always had wolves in Minnesota. And I've always enjoyed going up north and trying to find wolves, their tracks, their scats. I hear a howl. Just last winter, for the first time, I saw wolves in Minnesota along with my two children. And boy, I just want a future where we've got wolves in places beyond just Minnesota. I'm a lawyer at the center, and I've been working on wolf litigation since I first started law school in 2001. My very first case that I worked on was keeping wolves on the endangered species list. So all the time that I've been a lawyer, these battles over wolf protections have been going on, and we're up for this next fight too.
Great. Thanks, Colette and Brett, for that update. And want to give everyone just a sense of how this call is going to flow this evening. On this call, we're going to talk about the Trump administration's announcement to delist wolves, what specifically it's going to mean for wolves, and the decision timeline. We're going to go over and review and share our plan with you about how we want to stop this attack on wolves. We're going to ask you to get involved and to commit to taking action this evening, because we're going to need everyone to step up and do their part if we're going to win. And then we're going to spend a good chunk of time opening it up for Q&A. So we're going to have plenty of time if you have questions to answer any of them. And at the end of the call, we'll have a good back and forth, and it probably should take generally around an hour, depending upon how many questions folks have. So this is, that's how the call is going to go for this evening. And I'm going to kick it back to my colleague Colette, who is going to give everybody sort of an overview about what the announcement was and what's at stake.
Thanks, Quentin. So yesterday we got the news that we were dreading, that the Trump administration was going to move forward with that plan to remove protections from wolves across the lower 48. Nearly every wolf in the United States, other than the ones in Alaska and those critically endangered wolves down in Arizona and New Mexico, would lose their protections under this awful, awful plan. But I took heart yesterday when that bad news came down, knowing that we'd already been rallying together this great group of activists, great group of lawyers. We've got the team in place to fight this awful plan. Let me tell you a little bit about the background, the context of where this plan comes from. I mean, we used to have probably 2 million wolves in the United States. And it was the government itself, federal government, salaried bounty hunters, state and local government trappers, that actively tried to exterminate wolves and did so effectively across most of the West. Like I said, only Minnesota and then wolves on Isle Royale were left after this extermination program. But after wolves became protected under the Endangered Species Act, they began to recover. I mean, some environmental problems are so complex, climate change. But with wolves, all we had to do is stop killing them, and they came back. They're such amazing creatures with these long dispersal distances. And what we saw is that wolves, as they became protected, they expanded from Minnesota and into Wisconsin and then into Michigan. We reintroduced wolves in Yellowstone, and those wolves spread throughout the Northern Rockies and eventually to the Pacific Northwest, and then down to California. We also reintroduced wolves in the Southwest. And what that shows is that when we protect wolves and when we take steps to recover them, it can work. And it gives me hope that the Endangered Species Act is the absolute best tool we have to save wolves. But there's so much more work to be done. We've got less than 1% of the original wolf population. They live in less than 10% of the places where they once did. Think of the Southern Rockies, Colorado, for example, Rocky Mountain National Park, no wolves. I want a future where we've got wolves in places like that. In the Northeast, the Adirondacks, or in Maine. These fledgling populations that we have in the Pacific Northwest, they need time to grow. So that's why we need to fight back. Because what happens when the federal endangered species protections are removed, management turns over to the states. And through all these legal battles where wolves were protected and then management turned back over to the states, we saw exactly what those states had in mind. In Minnesota, where I live, wolf populations plummeted by more than 25% after the very first year of delisting. They lost protections. The Minnesota Department of Natural Resources set up a hunting and trapping season, and the populations declined. We saw aggressive trophy hunting, trapping, and killing by the agricultural industry. We just can't let that happen again. So there is a solution, though, and that's why we've got you here on this call. We're going to fight back. We're going to fight back in the courts. We've had so much success in the past. Like I said, I've been working on this for as long as I've been a lawyer. And time again, the courts have slammed the Fish and Wildlife Service for prematurely removing wolf protections. And we're going to do all we can to get that result again. But even better yet, let's prevent the Fish and Wildlife Service from moving forward with this awful plan, this awful, illegal, cruel, disgusting plan. And that's where you folks come in, that people power. If we can show the Fish and Wildlife Service, if we can show Congress too, that people overwhelmingly support wolves, we've got a chance to get this awful plan set aside. Thank you.
And this is Brett. I'll jump in there just to sort of build on what Colette just said. For those of you that want to learn more of the details, we'll definitely get into it in a lot more down the road in a bit. But we haven't seen the exact language yet. We expect to see the fine print any day now. But basically what's going to happen is the Fish and Wildlife Service will officially announce their proposal. Okay, so we got the slide up. And that will trigger a comment period. And that's a really important time at 60 to 90 days where everyone can make their voices heard directly to the agency. And we will obviously, rally and get as many comments in, just like Colette said, to show how wrong Fish and Wildlife is in making this decision. But maybe the even more important time is what happens after that. So Fish and Wildlife Service is going to spend probably about a year looking at all of those comments, reviewing them, responding to them, and eventually they may still delist. We don't know. I'll just say, as a sort of a small anecdote, we pushed back and fought back a proposal in 2013 that would have ended wolf protections nationwide, and they never even got to a final rule stage. And the reason that we were successful was that there was so much opposition during the comment period and in the months that followed the comment period that they never finalized it. So that's really the best solution. Obviously, if you look at this timeline on the screen, they could still delist in about a year. When a final rule comes out, we will certainly go to court. We will win, just like the other 8 or 9 times that we have won. But we would rather keep them protected and not have to go down that road, because wolves will get killed in that period while we're fighting in court. So it's really important to make as much noise, to build as much people power and political power over this next year, so that Fish and Wildlife Service really feels shame for what they're doing, and that it's not politically tenable. So that's kind of the goal. We will definitely discuss this in more detail coming up, but that's sort of how this is going to play out. It's going to play out, in DC, in the halls of Congress. It's going to play out with governors. There's lots of ways that we can push back, and that's what I think Valerie's going to really start digging into, and we'll be discussing in the rest of this webinar.
Nice. Thanks, Brett. All right. So, like you said, this is why we build power and we fight back. Because the key takeaway, I think, from what Colette and Brett shared is this decision to take away protections is entirely political. It has nothing to do with science. And restoring protections for wolves is going to take each and every one of us to fight back, as we've fought back before and we've won before. But what we can't do is not fight, because bad things happen when we sit on our hands. So that's why we're here. And of course, our legal team is going to be working hard to to fight in the courts if and when the time comes. Like they said, we hope we don't even get there. So this is really the critical moment that we need you to help build people power and fight back and show overwhelming public support for wolves. So our strategy, I'm going to lay out our plan basically through the end of the comment period. And again, like Brett said, that is not the end of the campaign. That's just this push right now. This is what we need, and this is what our plan is. So our basic goals are, one, to show just broad, massive opposition for this plan. That's going to be through a mass comment drive and also through protests. And second, we want to generate media coverage to educate and alert more people to this crisis and to influence public opinion and get more people involved. And finally, we want to target influential leaders. So that's going to be congressional reps and key governors, so governors in wolf territory, to publicly oppose this delisting plan. And that will do with call-in days and lobbying. So this is laid out in a timeline what it's going to look like. So right now, there is an immediate all hands on deck comment gathering drive. Our goal, along with our allies, is to reach more than 1 million comments altogether. But one critical piece of that Quentin is going to talk a little bit more about very soon is we're gathering hand-gathered letters, so personally signed letters, and this is really critical to show the kind of on-the-ground grassroots political power that we need. So Quentin's going to talk more about that, as I said, but looking ahead, just so you know what's coming, starting next week, we're going to be doing some call-in days, both nationally to the White House and also contacting and targeting some of those key governors in especially Democratic governors, newly elected governors in wolf territory. Those are some of the voices that we need on our side right now. Next, so once the comment period is officially opened, the Trump administration will also announce a series of public hearings. So they will be not everywhere, but in key locations across the United States. They will also not be in all of the locations that we think that they should be, almost guaranteed. So what we will do is definitely organize protests and participate in the hearings, flood the hearings at every single one that they plan. And in addition to that, in key locations that they do not hold a hearing, we will hold our own hearings. So there will be community hearings along with, protests or visibility actions. So you can see also here, there's rolling comment deadlines. So the next one is March 15th for people who have already been involved. You will send your next batch of comments then. The next one is the following month, so April 15th. And then finally, there will be one 2 weeks before the official deadline. Again, we do not have the exact timing for that comment period. We will let you know as soon as we do. But it's critical that we keep that 2-week gap so that we can get the comments, consolidate, process them, and get them to DC. Before I get there, I skipped one thing, which is lobbying our representatives. So this will take place near the end of April, so the week before and after Earth Day, April 15th to April 26th. We're going to do a coordinated lobby push with targeting our representatives and again, some of those key governors. And we're going to share more information about that as we go. So this is a lot all at once. We are going to be building up to this big comment delivery in DC where we will consolidate all of the comments, including all of the online comments, as well as all the hard-earned, hand-gathered comments that you have been gathering, that you will gather, and deliver them personally in DC to the Trump administration. So with that, I just want to give props to what's already happened. So the good news is we're not starting from scratch. We actually launched this campaign at the beginning of January because we knew this was coming and we wanted to be ready. So we already have, thanks to many volunteers on this call, we already have over 3,000 comment letters hand gathered that have been mailed back to us and tons more coming in the mail every day. Just this week, volunteers across the country are holding over 60 events, 60 Wild for Wolves meetup events. So here are some of the photos from those events that have taken place already this week. So it's really cool to see people are already taking action and leadership in their communities. We also organized rapid response rallies just within 24 hours of the announcement in Washington, DC and Seattle. So we are already geared up and we're just getting started. With that, I'm going to pass it to Quentin to tell you more about how you can take action and join this fight right now.
Great. Thank you, Valerie. As I mentioned in the beginning, in the introduction, when I welcomed everyone on the call, at the heart of Ignite Changes, we are the organizing wing. And that's what this campaign is about. And that's what this moment is about. That's what the heart of this emergency response is, our ability to organize people to really stand up and make sure that the Trump administration understands we need to protect wolves. In particular, as Valerie pointed out, we need local leaders in our first step to get together and gather physical comment letters in your community. We have a goal, as Valerie mentioned, of gathering over 15,000 hand-gathered comment letters before the comment period is over. In addition to digital efforts with our allies and partners, we hope to deliver over 1 million digital comments as well. This is going to really be a critical component because they show strong, organized, grassroots opposition to this plan. It also gives you the opportunity to have face-to-face, in-person interactions with your neighbors, with your coworkers, your family members, and educate people about why we need to take a stand and protect America's wolves. So, in this digital age, while there's texting, there's email, and there's all sorts of technology that we use to help organize people, it can never replace the value of connecting one-on-one with people and really letting them feel your passion and educating them about this issue. I can't say it enough. That's the core of our organizing, and that's why we're so happy we have close to 500 people on this call tonight. So, when we talk about what that organizing looks like, it could be you getting together with friends and family, coworkers, to get them to sign comments. You could table at a farmer's market. You could petition in your neighborhood, at the library, or a community event. Wherever you find opportunities to talk to people about what's happening, get them to sign the comment card, and hopefully, this is the really interesting part, maybe you motivate them through your education, through your one-on-one contact, to then have them get involved in the campaign as well. That's the magic of organizing. That's the magic of one-on-one contact, of really expressing your passion for wolves in this campaign. As Valerie mentioned, on Tuesday we had our first Wild for Wolves meetup day, and we had over 60 events across the country where people gathered to meet, to discuss, to organize, and to get comment cards out in their community. So this is the core of our effort. That's why you're here tonight, and I'm going to walk you through what would happen if you sign up. So if you agree to become a leader in our community for wolves, we hope that you do. We will send you a packet of materials, which is going to be about 100 blank comment letters, fact sheets, and a script, as well as an online guide for everything you need to know on how to do it. And many of you, I'm sure, could rattle off a variety of facts around wolves, and this is just helping you get some framework about how to best communicate that to your average everyday person who maybe is not up to speed on that. Now, the main thing from our end, as the organizing department, is we're here to provide you all the personal support that you need. Text, phone, etc., give you one-on-one attention to help you plan and do outreach in your community. As part of that, we're going to try and help you and encourage you to, if you do decide to do beyond just one-on-one things and actually hold an event or a meeting or something in your community, we would strongly encourage and will help you put that event on our map. On our website, ignitechange.org, we have a national map, and we can help get people to your event. We can help connect you with other activists in your area who may want to join you. It's really a fantastic technology and feature that we offer, and we want to help you use that. So if you decide to have an event in your neighborhood, in your city, in your town, and you think, oh, it's going to be hard for me to get people, we'll be there to try and help get additional Ignite Change members to your event and really help you connect and magnify your efforts. Now, we're going to send out a poll right now. As I mentioned, we have close to 500 people on tonight's call. And this is really an opportunity for folks to step up. So this poll is going to give you a question. Will you help save wolves by collecting comments? I'm hoping we're going to be saying yes tonight, because that's why you're here. So take a moment. You should see a pop-up on your screen. If you're on your phone, don't worry. You won't be able to see the poll, but we will follow up with you with an email and text follow-ups tomorrow so you can sign up then. Our goal tonight is hopefully to get no less than 130 people out of this 500. We would certainly hope for a higher number, but let's see if we can reach it. And we've hit 200 already. So thank you so much. This is the action that we are doing. I can't thank you enough. And so keep it coming. Maybe we can even reach 300. I think that we're at 220 now. So the number, you guys are responding in just the way we were hoping. Thank you so much. For those of you who are still thinking of maybe you have to check your schedule or trying to think about your capacity, don't worry. We are going to connect with you tomorrow. And, one of the things that's going to, one of the challenges that we have is, we have you on this call. You can sense the energy. I get energized from it. Valerie gets energized from it. And the catch is, we're going to send an email out to you tomorrow. I can't tell you enough. Make sure you check your email and open that. That should be the one thing that's going to help you connect to this campaign. We're going to give you a toolkit, step-by-step instructions. So if you're not able to sign up tonight, don't worry. You'll have plenty of opportunity, but tomorrow morning we will be sending out an email with all of the information that you need to get started this and get your outreach packet mailed to you. So please take that opportunity, and thank you so much. 237 people have signed up so far. That's an amazing number out of our 500, close to almost 50% response rate. So thank you so much. That's actually really a great progress on that. Now, let's see where we're next. So that's all for the action part of this. And as I mentioned, for the flow of this, if you haven't signed up tonight, tomorrow you'll have a chance, and saveourwolves.org is the site to do it. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Valerie, who's going to follow up on our support and digital role.
Okay, nice. Also, one of our support folks tonight is going to share the link in the chat right now where you can request a packet. So Quentin explained you'll get 100 blank comment letters, you'll get a script, a fact sheets, etc. If you want that mailed to you, please fill out this form. That's the next step that we'll email you tomorrow, but we always love that instant results. If you want to click that and fill it out now, we will put that order in for you and get it processed right away. All right, so as Quentin said, we think that building grassroots on the ground people power is critical to winning, but there are also plenty of ways that you can get involved at home or from your community, from your computer, to supplement the in-person work, and also for those of you who are unable for whatever reason to get out there. So we do want to make sure that everyone has options to get involved in this campaign because we need everyone. So here's one really simple but important thing that you can do actually right now is to share the digital version of the letter to the Trump administration opposing this plan. So again, my colleague Naaman is going to post a link in the chat to a Facebook post that you can just share. So it takes less than a minute. Just click that link. He's probably going to share it a few times there. And click the link, press share, and get that out of the way right now. That way we can amplify the message with all the almost 500 people on this call. I'm also going to tell you about one other online option that we have this conversation going. So we use a tool called Slack, and it's our online wolf activist community and Ignite Change community. And it's a free chat tool. It works with both smartphones and computers. If you've never tried it before, don't worry. It's super easy and intuitive to learn. And so it's really just a place to connect with other wolf lovers. And we also post campaign updates. We post content that you can share on social media every week. So it's a good place just to be on the inside and stay connected to what's happening in this campaign. So I think, again, we're just going to keep sharing these links so you can take these immediate small actions while we're here. But if you're on the phone, you can't see this. If you miss it tonight, don't worry. All of this is going to be in the follow-up tomorrow. And as we move forward, these are the immediate actions, but we're going to be in touch with you about what comes next. So what we shared on that timeline, right, about the call-in days, the public hearings and protests when they get scheduled. Maybe there's going to be one near you, the lobby effort. So please do, keep an ear out, and we will be in touch with you. So with that, I am going to open it up for question and answer. We have quite a number of questions that have already been submitted. So I am just going to take some of these questions and direct them mostly to my colleagues here. So one question is just to get a little more clarification on the current status of wolves. So which wolves in the lower 48 are still protected at this moment? Maybe Colette or Brett?
I can go ahead. So, well, right now, wolves all across the lower 48, except for in the northern Rockies, have protections. So in Minnesota, wolves are protected as threatened, and in the rest of the lower 48, they're protected as endangered. Now, in the northern Rockies, those wolves lost their protection due to a congressional action. And then in the Southwest, Mexican wolves, those are separately listed. So those won't be affected by this plan. But what's at risk are wolves in the Great Lakes, in the Pacific Northwest, and in all those areas where wolves could be but aren't now, like in the Northeast, in the Southern Rockies. So yeah, really nearly every wolf in the lower 48 is at risk of losing their protections.
Right. And the next question is, what are the main interests opposing wolves? Why are we fighting this again and again? Who are the powerful interests that we're up against?
Well, I'll take that. I mean, I think, you know, at one level, obviously the livestock ranching industry in rural areas do not like wolves. But there's a broader, I think wolves are a symbol, and they're often a scapegoat that Republicans use as a sort of boogeyman, especially in Congress, just against endangered species in general, the power of the federal government in general. So we see organizations opposing wolf protections for sort of ulterior reasons, and it's a, you know, they have just a goal to weaken the Endangered Species Act. So it's complicated. It's very political. You see members of Congress engaging on this who don't have wolves in their districts, vehemently opposing them. So it's complicated. I don't think it's necessarily a great idea to just focus on one industry, but to recognize that they have become a symbol, unfortunately, and it's very unfortunate, for a lot of the hostility that we see towards endangered species writ large.
Got it. Thanks, Brett. Okay, we have a number of questions just to understand the delisting a little bit better. So one question is just, what is the Trump administration's reasoning for delisting? You know, have they said they've met certain criteria in the recovery plan? And maybe I'll just throw in there, is there a potential for the delisting to be temporarily blocked if it comes to that?
Well, I can start, and then maybe Brett, you can fill in the gaps there. But I think what the Fish and Wildlife Service wants us to believe is that having wolves in just a few areas is good enough. You know, that certainly wolves have made lots of progress towards recovery in the Great Lakes states where I live, or in the Northern Rockies, and they want to just point to those few places and wash their hands of wolves, because it's a complicated, politically charged business. Our position is the Endangered Species Act requires more than that. It requires recovery in all significant portions of its range, all these wonderful wild places that once had wolves and would be more wild if they had wolves again. I can't remember the second half of the question. Brett, do you?
Yeah, so in terms of being able to temporarily block it, just given the challenges in lawsuits in general, it's a difficult proposition. Our best chance to stop it before it happens is, like I said, to mobilize during the comment period and after the comment period so that they never get around to a final rule. That's our best strategy to stopping it. You know, grizzly bears are a good example, just for folks, a little sort of similar situation. Grizzly bears lost protection in Yellowstone. They became delisted, but luckily we were able to stop that before the hunts started, because the hunts were sort of postponed a little bit. Unfortunately, with wolves, we've seen this in the Northern Rockies. Within days after the delisting, they were ready to go hunt them, and it's very hard to stop that temporarily in court. We can try, we probably will, but our best chance really is to stop this before it becomes final. And I'm optimistic we can. We've done it before. We know how, and we frankly we've got more people that are excited to help fight it. So that's our best strategy.
Nice. I'm just going to add, I'm going to do a quick share to drive home Colette's point, which is the historic range versus current range of the gray wolf that would be delisted. So obviously you can see there's a huge difference. Gray wolves are not returned to all the areas that they have been, and there are still areas with good habitat that they could be. All right. So next, a little more on the delisting, and then we'll move to some questions around taking action. So are red wolves part of this delisting? Are national parks included in this delisting? Well, I'll leave it at that and then come back with one more.
I can take the red wolf question. So this plan announced by Trump deals just with gray wolves, but certainly red wolves are under threat as well. We saw a proposed rule come out that would really curtail the red wolf recovery program. It would increase lots of opportunities for people that hate red wolves to go ahead and legally kill them. We're at the stage with red wolves where we expect to see a final rule really any day now, and we're ready to fight that one in court. But the mobilization that we're dealing with right here, it deals with the gray wolf.
And I can answer the second half on parks. So national parks are protected. There really isn't hunting. There wouldn't be hunting of wolves inside parks. We have seen, unfortunately, in places like Yellowstone, wolves, like most wild animals, don't recognize boundaries. Some very iconic wolves, well-known, well-researched, that were living in Yellowstone, they venture outside the park briefly into the national forests, and they get killed. So some wolves will still have a little bit of protection from parks, but the reality is, if you think about the Great Lakes area, there's not a large number of parks. If you think about the Pacific Northwest, there are a few wolves in the Cascades, but the parks are not very large there. Most of it's national forest land. So as a practical matter, it won't really provide much in the way of protection.
Thanks. And how about, does Congress have any role in this?
Well, of course they do. It's been mostly negative, but I'll say this. We lost in 2011 when Congress overturned the courts and removed protections for wolves in the Northern Rockies. That was a big blow. We learned a lot from it. We've gotten much better at keeping Congress from interfering in this. It will be a threat. I imagine that we will see proposals from Republicans in the Senate and in the House saying, hey, look, the Fish and Wildlife Service says they're recovered nationwide. Let's end protections. We've gotten pretty good at fending off those attacks. Generally, people don't like the idea of Congress interfering in a scientific process and frankly, a legal process that allows every citizen to participate in their democracy. It's sort of an end run around both. So in theory, they don't have a role in how the Endangered Species Act functions on a proposal like this, but I am sure they will meddle, and we will obviously be there to stop that.
Nice. That's a good transition. So I'm gonna take a few questions around taking action. And there were a couple questions around targeting Congress, because that's in our plan. We know that they're important allies, or as Brett said, we need them to be allies, right? So We want to pressure those who haven't been on our side, kind of, give them hell, so to speak. And we also want to really push those that are on the fence to stand with us. And we want those who are with us to be champions and get others on board. So one question around that is, will the lobbying be face-to-face or phoning our reps? That's a good question. So when we get there, it will be face-to-face. Well, it will be both. We have call-in days coming up. I guess those are more specific to, we're going to do White House and governors. And then when we get to lobbying our representatives, it will be setting up a physical meeting in district with the district office staff, most likely. So it's a great skill to have. We will also make sure that you're trained, that you have support all along the way. So if you've never done it before, it's a good opportunity to start and to learn. But that said, someone else's question is, can we start contacting our congresspeople now, or do we have to wait? Don't wait. Go ahead. Definitely. Like, we're going to have a coordinated effort. We're going to train people up in a specific time period, but all of these things need to happen. They need to be hearing from us now that, in the wake of this announcement, that we think it's a bad idea. So if you are inspired to take action now, you know how, please go for it. Okay, there are a couple questions on comment cards. So one question is, how do digital comments compare to physical written comments? I could kind of riff on it, but does anyone want to jump in? Brett?
Sure, I will. It's always better to write something that is tangible, personal, that makes the Fish and Wildlife Service really look at it. It is still great to send in a digital comment, and obviously if we can amass a ton of them, they can't ignore that, but making it personal, that's something we can use down the road in the court case. It's part of the record. Letters from children you can show to a judge. So I think it takes more work, but it does have higher value, and it also, frankly, slows Fish and Wildlife down a little bit more. So the more we can do, the better. The more digital we can do, the better. But I hope folks will take the time to write something out that's thoughtful and detailed, because that will have more impact.
Nice. And I saw someone is asking, where do we get the comment cards? Do we make our own? No. So we have blank comment cards that we can mail to you. So maybe Naaman, if you can share that link again, you can actually request a packet. We will, we will mail you 100 blank comment cards so you can get them filled out, along with some fact sheets, a script, and a campaign backgrounder. Okay, next question. Where will Fish and Wildlife hold hearings? I know the short answer is we don't know because they haven't announced it yet, but I don't know if Brett or Colette, if you want to take a stab at the regions, or no. We don't know yet, but we will certainly alert you when we do. And Quentin shared that map that we have on Ignite Change. You will be hearing, from us if there's one in your area, but we will also post all of them on the map when it comes time, and we'll be recruiting for people to show up, flood the hearings, and protest the hearings. It's an interesting question. Let's see. Well, let's go to targeting. So someone asked if Andrew Cuomo will be considered a key governor. So maybe we can answer that question, but also name some of the other key governors that we want to target.
I mean, I'm happy to give it a stab. I would say yes. When I think about the key governors, the folks that we really want to reach out to, I think, New England governors, so Adirondacks, so you got New York, you've got, I think, a Democratic governor in Maine, you've got sympathetic folks there, we've got a good governor in Colorado, we've got better governors in the upper Midwest than we've had in a while, we have a better governor in California. So I think we want to look at building champs among the governors in every state where wolves could still be recovered and where they are still recovering. And we shouldn't exclude any of them. I mean, there's a lot of habitat in the Northeast. There used to be wolves. They would certainly help keep the ungulates in check, and they belong there. So I would say yes. The more outreach, the better. One of the biggest challenges has historically been the lack of support from governors, from state agencies for endangered species and for wolves. So if we can change that dynamic and make all of them champs, that would be awesome.
Nice. Someone is also asking, if you've already been involved collecting comments, is this different? No, this is part of what we wanted to proactively do, is get you all collecting comments early because we knew that this was coming. So we wanted to build as much momentum as we could before it happened. And then really now it's like all hands on deck, continuing to do outreach. So if you've already been involved, thank you so much. And we ask that you continue and up your game in terms of, can you get 100 more comments? Can you get other people in your community to help you get comments, right? Multiply your impact. And along those lines, if you're like a star volunteer, you've already gotten 100 comments, we might be calling on you to help support and give tips to the new folks coming in. We want to create a robust volunteer network where we're supporting each other in taking these actions and learning from those who have been successful in this already. So thanks for being involved. And as you saw in the timeline, we also have more stuff coming soon. Finally, I'll just end on folks who are interested in seeing that timeline or referencing it. I haven't made this plan beforehand, but I think we can get that up on our website or in some other way make it available to you. If you haven't seen our website yet, our main organizing hub that has tons of these resources, we have links to the guides with how to take these actions. We have download links of the comment and the fact sheets. We have a link to join Slack, our online community, and we have like downloadable flyers and those signs, awesome signs that you saw in the protest, and even wolf masks. So all of that is at saveourwolves.org, just as a hub moving forward. Please check back there and we add the most relevant resources to it. So with that, I think we're gonna move towards closing up our call tonight, but of course this is just the start of this really important and critical organizing period. So we will be in touch tomorrow by email and text with all of this information consolidated and the links to take next steps. So with that, I'm going to first open it to either Brett or Colette if you have any final words you want to share before we wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Boy, I am just so inspired by seeing hundreds of people on this call. Boy, I'm just so happy to have this kind of support. I hosted my own little Wild for Wolves event on Monday, and it was actually a lot of fun. And I think gathering these comment cards is something that you can really just, connect with friends you haven't seen for a while, get out into the community, find out there's lots of people that share your values. I think all in all, this has been really uplifting, even though it's been really bad news. So strangely, feeling inspired, even despite the bad news from Trump.
And I'll just say, it's really awesome that everyone's on the call, and we're going to win. We've won before, and we're definitely going to win this time.
Thanks, Brett and Colette. And I think Brett pretty much summed it up, which is we're going to win. I think that's pretty much the gist of the campaign, and this is your chance. And thank you so much to everybody that signed up to gather comments, for joining us on this call tonight. We had close to 500 people on this call, which is really an amazing turnout and just shows how much passion there is for protecting wolves in the United States. I know for me, I think about, when Brett says we're going to win, I think about the nature of organizing. You start off and maybe you get some bad news, maybe things don't seem like they're going to turn your way, but you don't take no for an answer. And as Brett and Colette and Valerie know, and the other staff on the call last fall, we had the privilege of having Dolores Huerta speak at our staff retreat. And as many of you have heard before, the farm workers, their saying was "Si se puede," which is "yes, we can." So that's the attitude we're approaching this campaign with. And tomorrow, as I mentioned before, this is really but a very key thing to remind everybody about. You're going to be getting an email with all of the information you need to get started. So please check your email tomorrow, check your inbox, and importantly, go to saveourwolves.org. Share the web link with your friends, with your colleagues across social. This is the way we're going to grow and expand this campaign. And you are the core of it. You are the leaders that we need. And so our goal is to really support you in every step of the way. Thank you so much. And we will win, as Brett pointed out. And yes, we can. And we'll be in touch with you in the next coming days. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Valerie to lead us in what is a time-honored tradition in the Call of the Wild campaign. We are going to unmute you all at once, and we're going to end this with a howl in honor of the wolves.
All right, here we go. So Naaman's going to get as many people as possible unmuted real quick, but this is a tradition. And Colette, maybe you can lead us, because I'm sure you're...
All right, let's do it. All my dogs are joining in.
All right. Thank you so much again for being on tonight. We will be in touch. This is just the beginning. Together we can win. Yes, and ending in his mouth. All right, y'all. Have a great night.
Bye.